Templar, cryptozoologist, psychic, remote viewer, and internationally known paranormal researcher. He's the founder of the New York State UFO, Sasquatch, and Dogman projects. He is also a respected voice in the world of consciousness and high strangeness. A singer, songwriter, and author, Bryan has been featured on major networks including Travel Channel and Discovery Plus, appearing on hit shows like UFO Witness and Into the Unknown. From Wall Street to the world's most mysterious realms, he brings unmatched experience, insight, and truth-seeking energy to the conversation. Find Bryan's contact information in the description below, or Linktree Sir Bryan M. Bowden. Get ready. This is more than an interview. It's a journey beyond what we know as reality. Welcome, everyone. So glad to have everyone here tonight. Thank you so much for your patience. Bryan as well.
Yes.
We are so thankful that you are here with us tonight to share your amazing knowledge with us.
I appreciate this.
Incredible. So,
Yep.
Bryan, if you don't mind, would you mind to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Born and raised in New York City, grew up there most of my life. And I was in finance for a while, and then I left finance to do almost like a think tank. I did work initially when I first started with the United Nations International Monetary Fund and World Bank, trying to figure out how to fix third world debt, and they didn't really want that, but I gave them a plan. But I've been investigating the paranormal since I can remember, since seeing like In Search Of on TV, Leonard Nimoy and Bigfoot and Loch Ness. And once I got old enough to drive and wasn't, intrigued by the ladies out there, I would investigate certain things, and you meet certain people down the road. And I just been in the field interviewing people who have had abductions or experiences, ghosts, cryptids, you name it. I do it. I did have a background I was going to be studying physics and astronomy, so a astrophysicist, but you don't make money that way. You need money. And my buddy right there, one of my partners in crime, Al Santariga, is actually in. And he's already starting by saying, "Oh no, not this blowhard again."
Oh no.
Yeah, thanks, Al. But I've been doing this for a long, long while, and I started off having a lot of questions, like everybody else, and then through experiences, I was able to answer some questions, but usually have like 20 more afterwards. I'm a remote viewer. That's what I started with because I didn't want to come off as like a Miss Cleo or try to take advantage of people type of thing. Yeah. But I've had a bunch of people who are really good psychics say you need to do readings. So I do a lot of readings for people. I have a plethora of pro bono, as they say, free readings. And then I do have some clients that if they want, they pay me for my service. It's a combination of remote viewing and all these different psychic abilities, and you get new ones as you start developing your skill. You get new ones, and then it's like I have I don't even go by the Claires. You name it, I can do it, and it shocks me a bit too. So I've been taken by surprise. I remember one of my dear friends. I grew up. Well, I met at work when I was in banking, and we just clicked. And when you meet people, I guess it's part of your soul family. You're reconnecting with people. You just click. And unfortunately, he passed away. We used to talk like for hours, a lot of times a night. And he wasn't feeling well. He lived in New Jersey. And I said, "Rob, you better go. Either you go to a doc in the box, like one of those emergency things, or I'm going to drive over there and drag your 6'7" frame to a doctor to get you checked out. You've been sick too long. So his brother worked in government, law enforcement that way. And his brother eventually dragged him to his physician, and the physician waved him off. And they took him to the hospital, and they found lesions on his brain and spine and lungs.
Goodness.
And yeah, and prior to that, we would have these deep conversations where he was telling me about these dreams where he wakes up and he's surrounded by fire during COVID. And he thought maybe it was demons or the devil or whatever. So he started praying a bit more. And he wasn't like super religious initially, but he believed. And so we would pray to him, and he'd say that when he was praying, sometimes he gets this feeling, like this vibration that goes from, it's like he feels in the top of his head, and then it goes down, and then it comes back up. And just before, it freaked him out. So he released it. And I'm like, oh my God, Rob, you're connecting brain, body, mind, heart, and soul. You need to let it connect, and then you'll vibrate at a higher frequency. And he never did. So going back, having these conversations with him, and the lesions, they attacked it really aggressively. He was 44 years old, 43, 42 years old. And I remember being on the phone with him, and he's like, I'm like, how you doing? And he's like, I'm real scared. And I said, well, like you said to me, put your faith in God, And I said, I'm praying for you, brother, which I was. And I'm like, and he's like, I love you, man. And I'm like, I really love you too. He's just like one of these people you just connect to. And that was a Wednesday night, and early on, like 7:00 in the evening. And if you understand where I live in New York at the time, I have a railroad style kitchen. So it's a galley kitchen. It's really tight. I'm the top floor, and everybody went to sleep when all the lights were off in the house. And about 10ish, I get up to use the bathroom. So I walked out of my kitchen, then I have to make a right turn, and then another right to go down the hallway. And as I walked out, I caught in the the side view of my vision, peripheral. I saw Rob there, and I'm like, enough for me to stop and turn. He was smiling, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then come like a couple days later, it was that Friday, I got a phone call from a Connecticut number. And when you get a number, you get a call, and you're like, I have to answer this call.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, well, that was his sister. And she told me Rob died on Wednesday, and I knew it. So, and he always talked about you. You're one of his closest friends, which we were. And so they had, coming up on the weekend, they had a viewing for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I go all the way up. It's in Carmel, New York. And I'm there, and I meet some of his other friends, and he had just a few people there. The workers that he worked with sent those gifts from work, from everybody on the staff or whatever. But there was a few, like a handful of real nice friends, and they were nice people. But I met his brother, his brother's wife, the kids, the sister, and his mother. And they all said, Rob spoke highly of you. You would have these great conversations. And that's in front of Rob's, dead body. Sorry about that. I'm back in New York for a little bit. And so, as I stayed as long as I could. I don't like to look at dead bodies personally, but I see enough dead people that are talking to me, and that's a totally different ballgame. Right. It's like totally different. But so we're in the back. I do a lot of investigating up and right near where this funeral home is. And I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm like, when I come back up here, I'll stop by his grave, bring him something and sit and talk to him for a bit. And that's where his mother said, thank you very much for coming, everybody. Tomorrow we'll be cremating Rob, and that'll be just with the family. And it hit me at that point. The fire dreams he was having was his own cremation. So he was forced, he was seeing his death coming up. So about a year later, I really miss this guy. There's a pain in the ass in your chat right now, Al Sanariga.
Wow.
Yeah, no. I love Al. Al's a brother from a different mother. We investigate a lot together, and we joke with each other. And I missed him, and I was coming back into my apartment one day, like a year after, and I was like, "Man, Rob, I really miss you." I said it out loud, and I hope you're doing okay. And as I get to my apartment, I hear, "I'm doing pretty good, man." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm just making that up, you know." And no, I'm doing good. I said, "Are you talking to me right now?" He goes, "Yeah, we're talking." And I said, "Okay, but you're dead." He goes, "Yeah, I know." And I was like, I kind of got bugged out from it. So I called up one of my friends and I said, "I was thinking about this guy, my buddy. I said I missed him and I wish you well." And he talked back to me and she goes, "Oh my God, you've got Claire audio." And I said, "I don't know who Claire is, but she can keep her fucking audio." Pardon the French. So, whatever. So I do have that, but I've had that my whole entire life. You hear like the radio playing or a distant voice, and I just never tuned into it. But yeah, my abilities are really, really, they keep getting, better and stronger. And I still can't get the lottery numbers, folks, but if I could, I would.
Right?
Yeah. So this is what I, investigate. And Al and I have been in many situations together. It's always a plan B. We have an idea, like, well, let's go here, but plan B is to go there. And plan Bs are always, produce like big time. So that's pretty much me for the most part. And it's crazy. I was, but I know you had Lynn on, who I love to death, like another sister. She's talented and amazing. Then you had our sister Cisco on, who is off the chart. And I'm going to welcome you to the free state of Florida because I am a Floridian now too. So
thank you so much.
I'm in the Palm Beach area. So matter of fact, don't forget to stop at Buc-ee's on your way at Daytona because I saw your Daytona video.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm doing a lot of investigating in Florida now. I've done some Bigfoot stuff on the West Coast. I'm doing some stuff on the East Coast. And just so you know, everybody, when I say West Coast, I'm not talking about California. I'm talking about West Coast of Florida. And I know Lynn's a Florida native for the most part. So, yeah, I know you're in Palm Beach. Of course, when I'm not there, you're there. So I hope she'll be coming up on the 25th. I'll be in Gettysburg, PA for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and all these paranormal people will be there raising money for charity. So,
nice.
Yeah. Nice. You just said you stopped at Buc-ee's. Did you have the brisket? Because whatever, 100 different types of jerky,
Right. It's so huge. It's amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. So Bryan, I would love to know, in childhood, did you have experiences? And if so, what were the earliest?
I don't remember any imaginary friends, if you want to call it that. But I would hear like radios, or I'd feel touches when people weren't there. I call it the radio. It's like a distant radio, like your alarm's going off type of radio sound. Uh-huh. I would hear my name being called in the distance, and I'm like, who's calling me? And I just knew stuff about people when I met them. And I also knew that, like when I walked near certain people that were not nice or they were aggravated, I felt it. I took that on. So that's usually the first gift everybody has, the empath ability. And I'm like a buku empath. It is the worst gift in the planet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And because of, growing up, we didn't have much of this paranormal stuff like we have now. There weren't even many books. But to my dad's credit, he worked for Wide World Photos, so he would assign photographers to things. So technically, he's the paparazzi, and he's the one that got the pictures of Clinton and Jennifer Flowers. So I'm like, oh, Dad, great, you brought down a president. Two things. No matter what he did, I'm not supporting the man or not, whatever. Um, yeah, gnomes. Was it abducted by gnomes in Bronx Park, Al? Um, but I was always looking up in the sky, always in the stars. One of my dear friends that I've known since like I'm 4 years old here, we started our own NASA program, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt NASA Center. And we were in contact with NASA, and they would send us mission patches and photos, which I wish I had today because that would be really cool, just to have as a memento. But NASA stands for not a straight answer, and you'll never get one from them. Yeah. And yeah, I was into the horror movies. I always had vivid, initially I was calling them dreams, but I've come long time, it's been many years. When you sleep, that's when this is my research, my opinion, and what I've gotten in different interactions and exchanges. When you go to sleep, let's start from the beginning. God created man in his image. And when I say man, I'm not talking about men or women, I'm talking about mankind.
Yes.
Which encompasses everything. And one of the things God gave you, which is super important, is the third eye, which is the most important. And in there, Lynn will get all technical on you with all the Latin terms for every part. But there are two little crystals in there. And when it's decalcified, the crystals vibrate and you start secreting certain enzymes and chemicals like DMT. But it's not to get you hallucinating. It's to get you into a consciousness state, get your consciousness going. And it's a direct line to God and the Akasha record. Okay. So when you go to sleep and you're REMing, your eyes are flickering if you can, what happens is your information for the day gets uploaded back to your record. And if they want you to do certain things or try to put you in a different path, they will download you with new information. That's your objectives, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they will let you know, sometimes in the process while at rest, because nothing else is bothering you, you're not being sidetracked by negative space. You can have dreams which are vague, which may give you a little bit hints, like Al was in a tutu and we were driving motorcycles down 95. Yeah, I said it, Al. You want to be a wise ass. And trust me, if you know what Al looks like, him in a tutu would be funny. And it, kind of vague. Then there's experiences. So you have dreams, vague experiences. You're actually experiencing it. So it is so real that 99% of the time you wake up and you're like, I'm exhausted because you've been running around doing stuff. And your purpose is to remember it. And I'm talking about every detail because you know every detail because you've experienced it. So when someone has a real experience, like you take a kid to the circus the first time, they will tell you every nuance. There was a purple light and a red light, and this guy went in with the suit, the suit, and he got shot out of the cannon. There was that's because they're experiencing it. Yeah. So I've had a lot of that stuff where I'd wake up and I was being, giving premonitions or foretelling future events. I had an interaction with many years later, as outside of the child, with Jesus. Like one-on-one with him, and I don't talk about it. I talked about it. I talked about every aspect of it with some people on a show because I mentioned, my interaction with Jesus Christ, because I was transported back there to do something, and you get some people that are ultra on the right,
Yes.
where their King James Bible, like born again, and everyone's like, that's sacrilegious, and they block you. But the whole concept was, and I'm going to say it now, it basically saved his life, pulled him out of a tub that the two Roman soldiers were drowning him in, trying to get information. And when he came up and he was like gasping for air, like this, I was the whole time like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. That's all I kept saying. I was pissed. When I saw his face, which was broke, his nose was broken, he was beat up, longer. The closest image of what Jesus actually looked like would be the Shroud of Turin, believe it or not. Longer beard, darker skin. More, some people would say a tan line, but like a chocolate-ish, and like really amazing eyes. I can't yeah. And he kind of gave me the same look. It's going to be weird. Like when you have a child that's a baby and they're sick and they don't feel well, and you hold them and they're just like, they're thankful, or a puppy or a cat. They know they're in a good, like, thank you type of look. And that was it. Now, when I said that, people got offended by it, but they didn't let me explain. So Jesus, I'm not getting religion here, but I'm explaining to you. Jesus died for everybody's sins because, no one did anything. But if one person stood up and said, no, you're not doing it, and stood by him, I'm sure he probably would have also perished, because there's certain aspects of that he needed to do. It's a whole transformation thing. But that's what he was looking for. He's looking for, like, you can follow somebody, you can listen to their message, but there's a big, you can talk the talk, but if you don't walk the walk, what does it matter?
Right.
And that's what I was saying. Yes, he is who he is. He could have waved his hands and got rid of all the problems, but he's trying to make your life better. So people got pissed off with that, but they never let you finish and tell people, the reason behind it, and think about, like what I was saying. They just like, oh, you're a blasphemer. Boom.
Right.
And boy, these people don't realize that when he comes back, and I do believe he will be, coming back. He's not the lamb when he comes back. He's the lion, and he's gonna, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a priest, and I said, I was thinking about it. He's supposed to come off of Mount Olive, go through the gate, and hi, I'm Jesus, whatever. And I said, I'd love to do an AI video. You hear the boom, boom, like this, like something big's walking. Then you see the sandals hitting the ground, just the sandals. You hear the gates fly open, and you kind of like have like a lower position. You see, Jesus there, and he's there. I'm like, I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. And he's going to come back and kick some ass. So, and people are going to be in for a shock. So I want to do that little AI video. So, but that's where the ability started from. I know when people are lying. Now, another thing I was doing all the time since I was little, if we're having a conversation and you're telling me the truth, I see it play out in my mind.
Nice.
I'm like, it's really weird. It's kind of like I'm on the set of your movie or your life, and I can experience everything. I can look but if you're lying to me, or you're not if you're not telling the truth, it's black. So I know you're full of it.
See, I do that too. Like I don't see aura like people see colors. I see clear. It's like a cheese wrapper. It's clear, but you can see it. But then I see darkness. Like if it turns black, that's someone with an attachment. That's my symbol.
That's also part. Like, gotta go. Hey, look, a baby deer. And then she just run the other way. No, I just look at it as they're lying. They're not telling the truth. And there's caveats there. Like when you're hanging out with the guys, and like one guy, Al's like, we got this, 69 Pontiac, and we took off, and it was like the Dukes of Hazzard. And he, I'm like, oh my God, I saw, I can see it. and then one of our other friends say, "Oh yeah, the same thing happened to me," and they make up a story. It's all BS, but you're allowed that writer's embellishment to hang with the kids, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So,
I'm so grateful because it's like you said two things on point that really mean a lot to me. That are verification of things that I have been told that I'm crazy from my own family, that I need help. And you just verified. This is the first time we've met. This is the first time, right? Today's the first day we talk, like verbally.
100%. Yeah.
So one thing was that Jesus is not white like the pictures, that we see. He does have dark skin, and I have went through so much, but I still told because I have memories. When I died, I made a soul contract with Jesus. And when I was sent back, I remember walking with him before. I remember. And that's something no one will ever take away from me. And I remember the color of his skin. And I know we shouldn't be hung up on that. But my point about it is in the Appalachia where I have mainly lived most of my life in Kentucky.
Right. Good moonshine. Keep going.
Right. Some of them were my family at one point.
Different type of spirit, but keep going.
But getting them to understand that there's more than what we've been taught was my whole point, to get them to understand this. But then something else that you explained is, so I look at it and talk about this from a medical standpoint. The fontanelle, the baby spot, it's open until approximately age 7, our direct access. Those are the words I use. You said the exact same thing. It is our direct access. We are all born with direct access to God.
100%.
That was crazy.
Lynn actually nailed it on the head here because it was kind of hard to describe. I'm an eye person, so I always look at people's eyes. I could probably fall in love 15 different times a day. I've met some people with the most beautiful eyes. Even my daughters, they haven't. Well, their mom has incredible eyes too, but they have it like even better. My youngest is upset with me because I have blue hazel eyes, but they change color. So, and certain times they turn green. My eyes will change color. And she always tries it, and she's like, "Mine, don't do that." And I'm like, "But you have other things that are in your eyes, But yeah, his eyes are. It's a really weird color. It's like at times they can be brownish, and then when they morph into like this blue, and it's the weirdest thing in the world, but they're wonderful. And Lynn also said, Middle Eastern looking is the way to go, but it's kind of like it's like a really nice tan. Yes. But when I saw him, he was covered in sweat and dirt. I mean, they beat the hell out of him. But I did stab one Roman guard, and the other one got scared and ran out, and that's how it ended. But I'm glad that, from my own experience, research, knowledge base, and what I've been given, and also this, I call it discovery because I think we're born as children knowing everything. Like when babies coo, like, they're like, "What are you doing? You put X, Y, and Z on to kill the cancer." And then they send them to school. And the next thing you know, "I love you." You're like, no. Exactly. Right. So it's, it gets crazy, but the more and more I use it, I could read everybody. I could read everybody in this room. I could read you. And I extend a lot of energy on like, not my business.
Yes.
But I tell people when they say, I had a buddy of mine, like, "Hey, I want you to read me." He's in Arkansas, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" He goes, I said, I don't sugarcoat shit. Pardon
Yeah.
the cursing.
Yeah.
I don't. And I scared the crap out of him, but I was 100% spot on. And Al goes, my eyes change color after Battle of Jack Daniels. Yes, they do. So when we go out, when we go on an investigation, just so everybody knows, we always sage and holy water, whatever. Beforehand, we say some prayers. We sage our equipment, and we each say prayers. And Al always, whether it's holy water or holy oil, he comes in, the Father of Christ. I'm like, Al, it burns, and he's like, can you please be serious for once? I do it all the time. He hates it. Yeah, he's not that, he's tall, but he's not that tall. Lynn is pretty spot on. I don't remote view right now. I'm in my pajamas. I don't blame you. But what started out when we did an investigation, I met Al, and he brought me into his team. And best thing he's ever done. Like a bad penny, I don't go away. But we have a psychic out in Arkansas. Her name is Cindy Bailey Dove. She is really, really good at what she does.
Nice.
And I'm hopefully getting her on my show. And she's very knowledgeable, not only in the psychic end, but she was with MUFON. He started the STAR team, all these different things. And she's like super duper good. But Al would have everybody checked. Still continue to do that because you may invite people to the investigation, but some people may not be equipped to handle the investigation or may be a danger to other people and so on and so forth. And you don't want that responsibility. So after our big investigation, we went to a diner because that's how we decompress and we debrief each other on things. Yeah, she did sound good today, Al. I didn't talk to her today, but she's been sounding better. And so he goes, yeah, I'm going to do my Al Center. Yo, so psychic, she checks you out. He said, oh, you guys were good. Then he pointed to a guy that was with us named Paul. She says, she gets a tingle on you. So that means that you're able to, you're above others in this abilities. And then he goes, and then she got to you and fell off her chair. And so I'm like, oh, really? And he said, yeah. She said that I have a lot of psychic abilities, some that she doesn't. And but I have walls up. So my response was, damn straight, I got walls up. I live in New York City. I have a club on it too, Yeah. So I asked her if I can give her a call and I can explore this with her. And we started exploring. And I said, I don't want it to be a Pandora's box. And she's like, yeah, whatever. She knows it's a Pandora's box, and it was a Pandora's box. So she's like, you're psychic like me. I'm like, no, I'm a remote viewer. She goes, you can call yourself whatever the hell you want, but you're psychic like me. And so I finally admitted to it. So I am. But I love her. I've never, I may meet her this September because I'm speaking at the Crossing Realms conference in Missouri, September 19th and 20th. And it's pretty close to Arkansas. So I may take that 3-hour tour just to say hi. Out of my way, and that's going to be great. But yeah, so I've been working with her, and then I started doing my own, and what started out like if I was going to do something, I would have to like kind of sit there a bit, meditate or focus on something before I remote view. Now it get drops. I don't know if you get it, but
I do.
Anywhere, and it's really weird.
I have a question. So,
yes.
Do you ever have it happen, like, when you just blink? Like, sometimes, like, I'll just, be going about my day, and I'll blink, and boom.
I'm coming out of a Publix. And then this image, like, it's really weird. My eyes are open. I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but this image of something comes up, and I'm like, wow, that was a mushroom cloud in the background of a New York City skyline. Or whatever. The worst is, and this is happening a lot more recently, like I got into my car to go back home, drive our stuff back so we can make dinner I can make dinner for my kids. And I get this older woman that is pleading with like a grandma type. She's such a good girl. She's really sweet. She's just, misaligned, and she's really has the abilities to, and this was someone telling me how wonderful this woman is, who happened to be my hairstylist. And this girl has been through some issues and addictions, and she's trying to figure out her life. And this is a family member that, like is watching over her, and when they know you can speak you can hear them and you can translate.
Mhm.
And it was like, I'm like, I don't know who you are. I kind of knew she was a grandmother-ish type or motherly type thing. I said, I haven't seen her in a while. I can't just go and, pop in and say this to somebody because I was never used to that. But if I see her, whatever, and she's pleading, like, you really have to tell her. I'm like, listen, lady, I'm not, I'm not gonna, I'm not doing it right now. Al, you're holding up one finger. He asked the question. So, this is what we do all the time. So, um, so, but let me give you another example of that type of stuff happening.
Okay. Yeah.
And this involves Cisco, by the way.
Okay.
You had Cisco on.
Great.
So in Florida, school starts in August,
Okay.
like early, I think August 11th. Now, being a New York City person, I knew I was right, Al. Being a New York City person, if I had to go to school in August, I probably would have jumped off a building because it's just hotter than the sun. How can you go to school in this? But they have air conditioning. It's weird. So we went to one of these. I forgot the name of the restaurant. It's like your typical Irish pub restaurant, like a Houlihan's or whatever it is. So I said to my kids, "What do you want to get?" We went to get some supplies because the next day they're going to school. So we went and we go to this restaurant. So I've never been to this version of it, but I've been to another version of it. We walk in, and so let me explain to how it works. You walk in, there's a center like, hey, how many people in your party? You go to the left and look to the left, you'll see a big bar with some tables around the other side. If you look to the right, you'll have 4 rows of booths, going this direction. I'm trying to do it this way. And then along the wall of the entire restaurant is booth. So we go all the way down and we sit on the right along that wall that looks out onto the outside. And I always face the doorway because if something happens, I'm going to grab my kids, and it's a security thing.
Yes.
So I have my 2 kids there, and our waitress is really nice. She comes down and introduces. I'm like, yeah. And I order something out of the ordinary. And we're sitting there doing whatever. And then just one row over from the rows like this is another waitress. And the minute she comes down, I see in my head, it all starts playing out in my head. It's last call at a bar. She's talking to a heavy set, big Latino looking gentleman, 5 o'clock shadow. He's like, I'll take you home. Just come on. You can take it with me. And she's like, well, I don't know, whatever. And they joke. Like, come on, let me take you home. And then she finally says yes. And then the next scene is her dead in the grass. And she's dead. She's white and she's got blue around her eyes. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm a father of 2 daughters. I'm like, I'm like, okay, this just took place. And I'm like, out of nowhere. And something says, I got to tell this girl, because if it was my kids, God forbid that situation, I want my kids to know. But I know enough psychics that will tell you they know what's happening to people when they go missing or they end up dead, but they can't say anything because you become the primary suspect. Do you understand what I'm saying?
True. That is so true.
Yeah. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm feeling terrible. I can't even, think about eating whatsoever. And I'm like, I got to get some advice on this. So I'm looking around. I'm like, who can I call? And I call Cisco. He goes, and she's like, yeah, but what's up? And I'm like, I tell her what happened. I said, I've never had this happen to me. And of course, Lynn, you'll know this. Cisco goes, oh, this happens all the time. I know how to deal with it. That's Cisco. You don't understand. She will deal with it. So I'm like, okay, tell me. And she says, you go up to her and you tell her you're a medium and you have a caution for her. And you tell her, I knew that she had to take an Uber home. Don't take the ride, take the Uber. And you tell her, don't take the ride, take the Uber. And I said, okay, a caution, whatever. And we went through and she said, yeah. She goes, then I'm going to send you something else because you're now connected to this. It's going to cleanse you. So I said, okay. And I'm all nervous. So the meal's over and I figured I'd get up and I always go to the back with my card and I pay, especially if I use a debit card, I will not just hand it to somebody. I follow them to the register. They swipe it and then whatever. And I was hoping when I got to the back, this woman would be there and say, excuse me, I want to, can I talk to you for a minute and tell her? But she wasn't there. And my kids are like, Dad, let's go get ice cream. They wanted Carvel, whatever, it's next door. And I'm like, I'm torn. So I said, the hell with it. And I paid my credit card. I'm coming out. And as we're going to the door, I see her come out. So I stop immediately. I said, stay here. And I walk towards her, which got her on nerves. She's like, hello? And I said, hi, I'm a medium. I have a caution for you. If you last call at a bar, and it doesn't matter whether it's this bar or any bar, and you get an offer for a ride, don't take the ride, take an Uber. And she's like, excuse me? And I explained it again. She goes, take an Uber. And I said, okay, please. It's a caution. That means you're being cautioned right now. So she goes, what was it again? One more time. And I said it to her one more time. And then she goes, thank you very much. She actually was receptive to it, which I think younger generation now are a little bit more open to like crazy stuff.
Yeah, right.
They're nuts. Back in our day, back in our day, it's like, wait, I got to get into a car with a stranger. You told me not to talk to strangers. No, but the Uber guy's fine. No, the Uber guy's not fine. He's still a stranger. Whatever. So I got out of there and I went home and I still saw it in my head. And then Cisco sent me something with St. Michael. And I played it and I cleansed that. And then I felt, emotionally and physically better. And I played it like 3 times. It's only 7 minutes. I went to bed and I said, okay, let me see what's going on. And I checked. And when I checked on her, she was not dead. She was with her family and she was, walking around and they were laughing. And I'm like, okay, maybe she listened and it's going to work. Because I didn't know if it was that night or whenever. I avoided that restaurant for almost a year.
Really?
Because, right. And then I started worrying, well, my credit card's on file. I talked to her. If she ends up missing, I'm going to be this, whatever. Right. I didn't want to go through that. And I'm like freaked out and I saved that receipt and whatever. And the receipt to the Carvel and the one I got near my house for gas. So look, I didn't do it, type of thing.
Right.
Right. So I go in the restaurant. I'm kind of looking around, like I don't see her or anything like that. We go, we eat. And as I'm walking out, excuse me, sir. I'm like, and I turn around. Yes. And there she is. She goes, you're the one that told me to took the Uber, right? And I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like, yeah, I did. She goes, I can't thank you enough. My friend didn't listen and she got beat up. So,
exactly. See, can I stop you right there?
Yeah, sure.
I get so excited, not because of that experience happening the way that it did, but I get so excited because it's like, I until recently, I have not been around many people that understand me. I have not. Now right. It's like I get so excited because I get to talk to people because all my life I've been called crazy. My even my own family. Oh, you need help. That's not real. All these things, and exes. People that just don't believe in you.
Right.
And so I apologize if I get so excited that I
No. I appreciate because I think it's the same thing. It's it's the same thing as I've gotten. I'm sure Lynn would ask it. You know, Cisco's a totally different animal. I love her to death.
Oh
Um,
no.
but it's when you meet people you can actually have a real conversation with. Like
Yes.
I'm seeing numbers left and right. You know, 222, 11, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when people don't understand it, and I don't want to be arrogant, I don't have the time, strength, or energy to explain to you why it's significant.
Yeah.
Because one, you're not going to believe this shit anyhow. You think you're crackpot. If I had a
Right.
nickel for every time someone said I needed help or I'm crazy, I'd be a billionaire. Matter of fact, boom. Matter of fact, no disrespect, I love Lynn to death. Lynn is great and she's amazingly talented as well.
Yes.
But I was just sitting there one day, minding my own damn business out of my lanai, and your back porch in Florida is called the lanai, so they can charge
Okay.
you extra money for a back porch.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get a message from Lynn like, Cisco said maybe you can help me. So I start to go to work with her and her situation with their sister's house. I'm describing everything, and you know I see it, and I know exactly what she's like kind of dealing with, and I'm like, this is really weird, whatever. And at one point, unbeknownst to me, Lynn also sent it out to somebody else to do it. But I think when we were on Cisco's show afterwards, you know, it was done. At one point, she even said, like, you know, like, who is this guy? How the hell does he? You know, I thought he was a bit off, like, what? But he was describing everything in the house. Like, I'm like, how did he do it? You know, she thought it was a little bit crazy, or I'm not BSing, but you know, along the lines, like, how the hell do you do this?
Uh-huh.
And I just do what I do. I can't really explain how I do it.
Yeah.
But when you know when you finally meet somebody that's in that same group as you and like, wow, I'm not really that crazy, because I know people in this industry. I know some people that are psychics. They're batshit crazy. Like
Okay.
they're great people, but like,
Yeah.
wow, they're like that one has the six pack but doesn't have the plastic thingy to hold it together. You know, some people like that. Lynn is great. Now,
Yeah.
let me explain to you why Cisco sent Lynn my way.
Okay.
So I'm a member of I'm a Freemason. I am not the Illuminati whatsoever.
Right.
And through that I became a Knights Templar, but I don't do what they do, which is allegory. I do it as I've always had this calling to do it like what the real true Knights Templar did, in the way it's kind of like teaching of Jesus and the right and the taking care of the right people and the good stuff like that. But
Nice.
going to my lodge meeting, and she is frantic, and I can feel the energy from her on the phone. She's really upset, and I'm like, she goes, "Does anybody help?" And I'm like, I can help you." Something said help her. So she tells me about her former the love of her life. You know, this guy that she was with. He got into an accident. His son and their son together was there at the bedside, and I think he needs help. So I said, okay, well, let me do what I do, and I remote viewed it. Now, her ex was a big time biker, like no joke biker. You know, had colors, and so I go see the hospital. I see him there. He's hooked up to tubes, eyes closed. His son's holding his hand, and I get into where he is because I can do that. Boom, and so there's this guy, and he's not really that big a guy. He's very muscular, and he's got this beard and chiseled jaw, and whatever. And we're surrounded by darkness. Okay, but we can still see each other. There's like some kind of lighting system where you can see each other, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in the ether right now, the ethereal plane, and I know he has to make a choice. Either you say, "I want to come back," and you go through that process of healing and whatever it is, or you can go into the light. When he turns around, he's a badass mother. You know what? Who the are you? And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm just here to help you. I'm explaining what happened. You got into an accident, which he did in his motorcycle. You're in this place. You can choose to come, and it's going to be difficult because you're not in a good physical place. So it's going to be a struggle for the rest of your life. Or you can go, to the light, and then you'll go through a whole system, whether you're good or bad and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he's pissed off, like, get this, I'm going to kick the shit out of you type of thing. I'm going to rip your head off. And I'm like, oh my God. He's pissed. So I come out and I'm like, I contact her. I'm like, this guy's pissed, and I'm like, I don't know how to get to him. He wants to kick my ass. He doesn't know he's not really listening. She's like, don't, just go back in and you tell him Peg sent you. And I said, who? Peg sent you. So I said, okay, I'll go back in. But if you can get your ass kicked in a different way,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Oh
So I go back in. He's like, you back, mother, whatever. And I said, whoa, I was told to tell you Peg sent me. He's like, you look at me, what? Peg sent me. And he gave me this, like, seriously, like I'm doing now, son of a bitch. And he smiled, and he's like, okay. And I said, this is what's going on, and this is what you have to do. Your son's holding your hand right now. You're in a hospital. You're hooked up to all the machines. You can choose to continue on with life, but it's going to be a real, I don't know your situation. You may be quadriplegic. I don't know what's going on, but it's going to be real difficult and painful.
Yes.
Or go into the light, die, pass on, and then you'll go through whatever their process is for you, because you may have did good things or bad things. That's their judgment, and they'll deal with you. And I came back out, and he got it. He listened. So thank you. Yeah. So, and eventually he passed, and I knew he was going to pass. And what was really bizarre is, sometimes, like, I'm friends with them. People can look through my photos on my Facebook. You get those Facebook peeping Toms and Tinas.
Oh, Lord.
Looking at like, oh, look at that vacation. Oh,
Yes.
But I've met Cisco's two kids. Great. Well, I've met one of them. Great kid. Good head on his shoulder. He's also a miracle too. But I never met the son that was sitting at the hospital. And she posted a picture. That's a couple of weeks back or a month back. And I went, son of a bitch. He's a spitting image of him. And I mean, the guy's a good looking guy. Don't get me wrong. Like, if he wasn't doing the stuff he was doing, hey, adventures, he could have probably modeled or been on a TV set, like, as the tough guy. Nice. I mean, he's a good looking man. And Cisco's not bad looking either. So they made, they did good work. And even her other son is good work. But it's just weird finally seeing, like, I know that face. That's the face that told me to go F myself like 15 times. But I was able to transfer him, and he passed on. But he did it because it was about time. This is a really good guy that got himself so deep into stuff. You get to a certain point where you can't come out of it. And it wasn't gonna be good for anybody. And believe it or not, his passing was a healing moment even for his child. So it's that adds to you when you go up to heaven.
I can feel it. Oh,
yeah.
I can feel it. Oh, thank you, Spirit. I can feel it so strong.
Yeah.
Truth. Yes.
It changed his life for the better, because you don't want to be like your parents, but sometimes you are. It's what you grow up with. And you try to change it. But he, you know what? His passing was a good omen, a good deed. And that's going to help him in the credit department when he goes up. Because I know that, like, Dante's hell, and, well, there's heaven, and there's about 9 or plus. I know of it as 9 levels. I'm just going to use 9 levels. And the higher you are to the top of the pyramid, most of the time you're an angel. Okay. And those are the people, like babies being born like right this second, and then something happens, they die an hour later. They served their karma, they fulfilled it, and they were like, wow, that was easy. This time around, whatever. So yeah, when you get um when you get to heaven and you get, they talk about the gates, you basically go to an orientation program and they tell you like, okay, so this is your life. This is where you really fucked up. Boom, boom, boom. Now you have an opportunity. You're going to be on level 1. You can stay here for as long as you want, but the goal is to get you to level 9. So you can reincarnate, go back, and then every time you fix it, you move up a bit, whatever. So that's why you get to a certain point, year 1, year 2, year 3, roughly about when you're supposed to come back at year 9, which I'm at right now. Okay. And you do it through astrology, like you add the date, the letters up and the day you were born and the time and all this other stuff. You get to a number.
I don't know about that. That's very interesting. I'll have to find out about that. I'm a baby at astrology. Right. I have so much to learn about astrology. I do.
Well,
I really do.
Yeah. So you add these numbers up and then you get to a number and it's either going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or a 9. I used to do this with my dad all the time. I'm like, you see the number 24, right? I'm like, oh, that's a 6. He goes, what the hell are you talking about? It's 24. Right? I'm like, no, but 4 plus 2 is 6.
Yeah.
You keep adding the numbers and you'll only get up to 9. I do that with my birthday. So, right. So I'm 12. I'm 3 years old this year. Because it eventually added up to 3. Or I'll just say like I'm 660 months. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. I freak people out because they say my baby's 24 months. I'm like, I'm 636 months. How old are you? Like, what does it matter? Yeah. So I know that when you get to 9, like you finish your 8, you can come back as 9, but you don't need to. Yeah. And frankly, I think I got screwed on every life contract that I signed. I'm like, they must have had me in a tent with like heroin and like, what do you want me to do? It's going to be what? Yeah, I'm going, whatever, and I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. I want to read that damn contract again. But yeah, I don't plan on coming back and I will watch my children and I'll take care of them, but I'm not coming back for another round. So I can just be, no, unless you give me my wings, I'm not coming back.
I don't know what
Bye, Al
says, but I am not coming back.
I'm not coming back at all. And I'm just saying goodnight to Al because I'm sure Matlock's on a Golden Girl. So, yeah, I'm going to have him hear that when he gets back on. Good night, Al. But so this is how it works, in my opinion. And I still believe there's a hell. And it's, if you're all the way at the bottom, you're a piece of, whatever. I can tell you in this lifetime, I've been sent back to 0 more than I care to have been. So you go through and then like you're fired or you let go and you go back to 0. And every time I go back to 0, I'm like, it took me a while to figure this out. I used to get frustrated. Oh, this sucks. Blah, blah, blah. But then I said, okay, well, now I've learned that lesson. And I still do good work. I help people. I'm actually genuinely happy. If you hit the lottery tonight, I would be so happy for you. I'm not asking you for anything. I love when good things happen to good people. I love when good things happen. I just love if more people would pay it forward. Be nicer.
100%.
Right.
Yes.
But other than that, and I'd love to have you on my show too, because you do tarot as well, if I'm correct.
I do. Okay. I do read it. I connect with God and the divine in the Akashic records, and I read the crystals as well. And then, but I read crystals and the cards as divinely led. I do have my own little way that I like to start out, but that doesn't always work. So,
no, that's really funny you said that. I have a very large collection of tarot cards.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
different shapes, figure eight. I love the design and artwork from it. I'm an artist also. Went to art high
Yes.
school, and they don't call them starving artists for nothing. That's why you don't go into art. But I don't play with them. I mean, I kind of try to do some work with it, but I don't I don't need it. That's the whole thing. I don't need any of this stuff. When you come to me and you're basically asking me for if you give me a question, I will give you an answer.
Yeah.
And that's how I do my readings. And I explain something very important to people. If you go see somebody give you a reading, if Michelle's giving you a reading, that doesn't mean you sit on your ass and you wait for it to come true.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Right.
You have to take action.
Pardon the expression. Right. So, good night, Lynn.
I love you.
Love you too. Have a great night. But what I try to explain to him is the future is fluid. It's very fluid. And the reason why it's happening is I'm seeing your path. Currently, your path is here. If you keep going, X, Y, and Z will take place. If you're stagnant or you sit there and you do nothing, you're going to come back to me and say, well, none of that happened.
Yes, that is so
And I'm
true.
going to say, that's because you sat on your lazy ass, or you didn't go to work, or you didn't do like you were supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's why. So now I have to look at it again. Like, this is a new path.
And then
Because
they get
past,
mad. They get
yeah.
mad at us.
Yeah. So I explained to him, I'm like, and I've said it enough. Do not come to me and tell me it didn't happen, because I know you're not going to, I already know in advance that people that I'm reading aren't going to do what I said and stay on the path. I have one really dear friend. He's come to me. I told him what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, who he's going to meet, and whatever. And I said, you have to write this. You have to start writing this book now. And he procrastinates. And he procrastinated enough. Now, when I get paid, I do it by hour. So you pay me for the hour. And that could literally mean I'm talking to you for 15 seconds. I'll talk to you for the whole hour. I actually always go over anyhow, or the full hour. But it doesn't end there. If I get a message for you within the next couple of months, because I don't want to read you every week or every other week or every other month. Give me some space, because things happen. But if I get a message, if you're really close to me, and I got one, and I'm like, again, coming out of Publix in Florida, because I do, picking my stuff up, I'm like, oh, you bastard. And I'm like, so you've been sitting on your ass waiting for you, and you need a little prompt. And I said, start with X, Y, and Z. I told him how to start the book up, and I texted it to him. And within seconds, he goes, dude, how did you do that? And I said, I know you're procrastinating.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, I was just thinking I should have. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I guess I should get another reading. And I'm going to get another reading. So I give him another reading, and it's different. I said, like I told you, you were procrastinating. Now it's changed, because you were here and you stayed. You went to the rest stop and fell asleep. And you should have kept going. So you were like, oh, whatever, let's see if it happens. Because he's a wise ass like that. But it didn't. So now you're on a different path. So another path is branched off from that. And now you're traveling that path. Sometimes those paths will reconnect if it's divine. They need you to. But most of the times, they just get you motivated in doing. That's why we have a path. A life path is a life path.
Yes.
A lot of the stuff that I've done reading wise was to stop people from killing themselves.
Oh.
And if that's my existence in this lifetime, I will do it. I remember we were driving back from Florida to go back to New York, because we used to go back every once in a while, and we stopped at Florence, because that's the halfway point. And I had my buddy call me on the phone. I was talking to him, and it was like 11:45 or 12 midnight. He was going to kill himself. And so my wife's there, and she's like, come on, let's go. It's really late. We got to get up tomorrow early. And I said, hold on for a second, brother. I said, I got a guy on the phone right now who's going to kill himself if I get off this phone right now. And I'm not doing it. So I stayed on the phone for another 2 hours, and he hasn't done it. This was kind of weird. I was packing up my stuff to ship to Florida. And I used to be on a show called the Three Beards podcast.
Yeah,
started by a guy. Yeah.
I saw that. I was investigating everything.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, so they interviewed me several times. They're like, we like the way you think. You want to come on? I'm like, yeah. So I just started, whatever. So as I'm packing my stuff up, Craig, that was the guy that started it, goes, does anybody, do you know anybody that does dream interpretation? I said, well, yeah, I do. So he said, we got a really good listener of the show. He's having a hard time. So I said, well, okay, I'll talk to her. So through Messenger, like we just did, but with texting. And she's texting me. I'm like, hi, Craig sent me, what's going on about your dream? So she had a dream about the love of her life. And she said in the past, she can change the dreams, the outcomes to what she wants, but she can't change this one. So I said, listen, I can't do this through texting. Can I call you on Messenger? So I called her. She was in Canada. And she's telling me that her daughter passed away. And before she even called me, as I'm waiting for the call to come in, I see this short, brownish hair woman, brunette, young, a little bit pudgy, standing next to a guy who's taller than her, who's pudgy. He's got a white goatee. He's wearing a shirt that is red and black. What's the hell the pattern? Like Scotch tape. Oh, Jesus, I forgot the name of the pattern. But it's like Scotch tape. It's there's a specific name for that stuff. If someone in the chat remember, my brain's going nuts. So it's red, and with black stripes going through it, and a hat like that. And they're sitting there, and the guy has these big cheeks, and she gets on the phone. She starts talking, and they're talking to me without, I can hear them. I know what they're saying to me. And she starts telling me about her daughter, who was very young, died of cancer, found lesions on her, and she passed away. And that really hurt. And then she met this other, man that was the love of her life. And, it was tough with us. Plaid, thank you very much. I couldn't figure the word out. I'm thinking Scotch tape. It's been a long day for me, folks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Crypto. I think this was their child together. Or this guy was so much of a great man, he took on the responsibility and made this child his, which is great. Some people do that, moms and dads. And not long after the daughter passed away, this is just recently, the husband had lesions also, and he died. That's the love of her life. And she saw him in a dream, and every time she tried to change it so he would come and he'd be alive, he wasn't, and he always died in the dream, and he wants to change it. And she's been having this for a while, and she got so depressed that she tried to kill herself. So, and they were very upset, and like, she's not supposed to, and I'm listening. I said, I know, I can tell you right now, you kill yourself, because she's desperate to get back to the love of her life. I said, you won't see him. It's going to take 3 times as long, because you're going to have to reincarnate and come back and be miserable through that whole entire life to make up for the mistakes you made. You have to stay on your path. And I told you exactly what her path is. Her path is to help people and to, I said, just get in YouTube, just start talking to YouTube, give positive vibes, and you're going to build an audience with it and these teachings, because she has some psychic abilities, but sometimes you can't read yourself. So, there you go. Right. And so you have to go down this path and not to kill yourself. I said, your daughter, your husband and daughter are smiling at me right now. I see them and they're talking to me. And they said they don't want you to do, and I forgot exactly what it was that they said, but each one said something. And she was like, oh my God, like spot on. So it was something personal, but the way I said it registered. Like no one says certain things. And I said, don't be stubborn. And they smiled because they know she's a stubborn person. And I said, I know you're stubborn. And they're like, yeah, she is. So long story short, we were on the phone for about an hour and a half. And I said, which they told me, they're going to give you a sign tomorrow. So go to bed, get your sleep. You're going to have a better night's sleep. When you wake up, you're going to see coins and the feathers. That's the sign, coin and a feather. Aww. And she goes, okay, so no problem. She goes, the next day I get my message like, they were here. And on, she just took a picture of it, was coins and 2 coins and a feather, a big feather. Because it was on the coffee table. Yeah, so, but I mean, I have a lot of that stuff and it makes me feel good if that's my mission or my point. It's a lonely world out there. I'm not, but I will continue to do it. Do you, as a medium? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
it's okay.
When you meet people and they're telling you something and they kind of fib things, they don't want to admit to something. Nothing ever happened. Do you actually see it happening? And I'm like, like, okay, they're lying to me.
Like video clips is the best way like watching a YouTube short. Sometimes it can be a split second, just a little bit, and then sometimes it can be, 5 seconds. Not super long, but it's like a YouTube short, a video clip. And I see it. And now usually, but see, there's a difference. Okay, so I'm like you. All of my clairs are open. And there's a lot of things I can't explain. And when I went to, if you want to call it heaven, the universe, whatever people want to call it, I didn't go through the pearly gates. I was out in the cosmos with spacecraft, Jesus, my aunt from Egypt. I was around part of the council, and apparently I'm part of the council. All I know is to call it's a city of white because everybody wears white robes.
I've actually been there.
You've been there too?
Yeah, I'll explain. This is how I explain what I saw. So it's like literally looks like buildings in a cloud. And it's very, very white. And what you have is you're standing, and it looks like Roman architecture or like columns. And what happens is, like, I'm standing on this outside this building, and you walk down some stairs to a plateau, like a little area which is grassy. Then you walk up another one to get to another area. And I knew that where that other area was, I wanted to go into the building on the left that was there. And you can go other roads because that was the Akash record. And and every time I walked to it, bastards would put me right back on the same step. And I'm like, you guys suck.
I'm so crazy. And you have been there.
Yeah. I don't know if that means I've died or if I'm able to just get to it.
Well, I don't think everyone has to pass away to go there.
No.
I feel like we can all go there. We can all achieve it if we just believe it to begin with. And then we start understanding how to use consciousness and, the theta dream state, the different dream states, all these things are so important. But oh my goodness, I can't believe, I don't know how grateful I am.
It's just, I'm telling you the truth. You know what? I was thinking about it recently. I'm like, now with AI, I can kind of recreate what I saw there. And it's really weird. It's kind of like, I can't explain the lighting, but it's golden. But it's white, but it's golden. It's really bizarre. You know that it's quiet and peaceful. And I saw other beings there, and it was I didn't see like I have this thing flying behind me, which is like a fake Mothman. I do like a on my backgrounds. I can do different videos, but I didn't see wings, like angel type of things. But I did
Right.
see something with like it looked like they were wearing tunics, and
Yes.
I'm like,
Right.
am I at a really weird toga party or no? Like, and then you just know, oh my God, that's the Akash record right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so true.
Yep.
And they
And
were
it's
all white,
stone
right?
columns. Yeah, it's stone. It
Yes.
looks like stone columns, but
Yes,
it's
the
probably
column.
marble and stone.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know I took it down, but I will just so I'm telling you the truth. Well, I mean, I don't have to because you have abilities,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would love to send you. It's my true story, and it actually includes exactly what you're talking about, so that you can understand my experiences, like what I went through, and I actually explained the columns and the Akashic records and all of this. I mean, it's like tonight was so meant to be. And think about how much we were tried to be stopped. Think
Yeah.
about that.
That happens quite often, especially when I do things. They don't want you to speak, but I'm here to tell you that, you got to do a lot more things. Like when I meet people and they're like, Albert or Susan or whatever, I'm like, thank you, Albert. I talk to them by their name. I appreciate your help. You have, and I've said this for a whole bunch of years now. Have a blessed day.
Yeah.
Okay. And my youngest, who is an earth angel, who I will say basically saved my life.
Oh,
She really saved my life. She's super intuitive and she's a pistol. She's my ride and die. And there are times I
oh,
want to kill her, but I can't because I love her. She goes, "You won't do it. You love me too much." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." Um,
yeah.
yeah. So, it's what she does is she's what I want to be. She doesn't let things bother her. Well, she used to. Now she's going through teenage. Those change. Teenage
Yeah.
daughters are evil, and I had two of them. They're evil. They're like the purest form of evil on the planet. Sorry about that. And
Gosh.
right, but she he's done this since she could talk. She would say, "Oh, I love your necklace." Everybody going up to it, like we go up to the. She did it. She does it all the time. She's like, "Oh, I love your glasses," and you can see the attitude and that change on someone's face. They're like, "Oh, thank you," because you're no longer just a non-playable character, NPC, or you're nobody. Everybody's somebody,
You
and you're
matter.
acknowledging that. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, you matter.
you do. Everybody matters, but she's being really, you know. And I've seen people that were, "Well, get the hell out of the store and pop it like store whatever." And she would go up to him, "I love your watch. I love your watch or your nails." And they would stop like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like, "Oh, where'd you get them?" Oh, blah, 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 blah. And then they stop being. It's like an instantaneous switch.
It is.
You know.
It does. It switches the entire perspective of that person, of the energy. And I
Right.
feel like, because see, that's something that I do too. And I'll tell you what, I feel like the reason why we were given these abilities is to help at this time coming in, as the awakening is occurring, is helping people see that they can switch, they can change it, they can
Yeah.
change the perspective instead of looking at it like, wow, today's been shitty. Instead of that, looking at it like, okay, today's been a challenge. Okay, that's telling the truth. Today's been a challenge. But you know what? I got this done, and I accomplished this. And if I didn't
Yeah.
accomplish something, you know what? I have a lot to be grateful for. Go ahead.
Right. No. Crypto Sunshine PSG said gratitude is the best. Look, it's not everything we want in life and whatever. And let me tell you something. Sometimes you don't get it in life because they know what that other path would be, and that could be you overdosing with heroin or something or whatever. Money begets evil.
Yeah.
That's why I've always said to everybody, if I win the lottery, you'll never know. Oh, there'll be signs, but you'll never know. You know, you see me in a Lambo, you have a pretty good idea. Yeah. So, because people
Yes.
get greedy, they get
Yes.
nuts, and they do stupid things with people. So, what I've learned is, have a relationship with God, whoever your God is, and take it one day at a time. And you can ask, like, I'm still doing your work, God, but can you kind of lighten up on the bullshit? you know,
Yeah.
I've had so many interactions cursing with God over time that, um, like, why the f you f, like, and I get sent back to zero. But I had an ultimate religious experience one day. I don't know if you know New York City, but there's an east side and a west side, and the Central Park's in the middle. And I was out of work, and my wife lost her gig, and we started a screen printing company. And one of our friends' child was born basically deaf. Great kid, Dexter's a great kid, and he went to this school in New York City called the Clark School.
Okay.
And they teach children that are babies, like babies up to a certain age, how to exist and go about life with their hearing issues.
Oh.
And Dexter's he's a great kid. So they do a walk every year, or they did, to raise money for charity. And so we did screen printing company. They mentioned us, our friend, Dexter's parents, our friends, mentioned us. So we're racing to meet them. So you get to a certain point. We go from where I am up in like Bronx down into Manhattan. We're cruising over. I got to cut from the west side to the east side, which I do. And then I take the turn down this, it's 96th Street, and it's like a 45-degree angle. And it's 2 lanes on both sides and steep grade. And I'm cruising in my Honda Pilot. And I get to a certain point down at the bottom of that where I make a right and I go down to 70-something Street. And normally I would pull my car into a lot to park it, because you never find spots. But I just so happened to find a spot a little bit further past the school, and it's level. And I pull up, I parallel park, and then I go get in, back up, pull forward, back up. When I pull forward, pop, my foot goes all the way down on the brake pedal, and I'm like, oh shit. And my wife, her dad was a mechanic. So I said, F it, I'm going to deal with it later. We go inside, we talk to the owners of the school, and they weren't sure, like, do you really know, Dexter? And so I'm standing there, and the head of the school goes, Dexter, we brought someone here for you. And I peek my head, and he goes, Bryan. And he comes over, gives me a hug, and they're like, okay, he does know him, So kind of like fake nieces and nephews of them. But they're good kids. So when I get back, I have to get my wife back up to where we are in like Westchester-ish County, to pick up our kids from school. I got to get a car from there, like 45 miles up, to go to a mechanic. I again, unemployed, working off of whatever I had, and I'm pissed. So I got her a cab. I said, go up there, pick up the kids. I'm going to get a tow truck from AAA, to get the wrecker out and, meet me up at the dealer. And I'm cursing, son of a, why do you do this to me? I don't have the money for this. Ba, 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 ba. F this, F that. And at one moment, I'm cursing, and then I stopped and I looked at the car, and the car is perfectly parked in a spot, level ground. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, Lord, I got it. He didn't let that happen to me when I was going too fast down a hill where I would have killed a lot of people.
Right.
He had it happen when it went, and I was in a level spot. I said, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I got it now. And from that point forward, if you're late getting to work,
oh my gosh,
F it. You're late. Go get something to eat, because it doesn't matter if you're 30 seconds late or an hour. You're late.
That is so true. I got to tell you something. It's hilarious.
Yes, ma'am.
You can laugh with me, please do. But at the end, it's going to be like what you're talking about here because it was divine intervention. So my son and he's 32, and so he can read, right? He's used to the roads. So like on the way, like from the very beginning, when we hit from Kentucky into Tennessee, usually for me, I go through Georgia. And Georgia is like the longest part to get to Florida for me, the direction, the way that I go. Well, so we get to Tennessee and, there's all kinds of construction. There's cones everywhere and everything, but there's not that many places where there are actually workers that are out working, right?
Right.
But, you still have the signs, work zone. And, I'm used to like 55, sometimes 50, but usually it's like 55, slow down. And so, I kept seeing 70 and, 70 maximum, and then saw 40 speed limit. And I thought, well, that was strange. Why is it 40 speed limit? I'm used to 50, 55. And so the traffic was just flying by. And we did this like all the way till we got just a few miles right before Georgia. Right. And my son was even like, because we had police that got behind us twice. Okay. And I'm thinking it's because, I got out of state tags, right? And I had my cruise control set, and I was right on the dot, right? And my son's like, Mom, it's okay. Let them get a ticket. Let them, let them fly by. I mean, they were like flying by. And he said, Mom, you're doing the right thing. And okay, I tell you guys what. It was minimum 40 miles per hour. And this girl had it set at 39 so that I wasn't going to get a ticket.
Smart. That was good.
So we were going 70, 40 constantly. So like what we were actually doing, but this was spirit, because listen, so like what was actually happening, we would see the 70 mile an hour, right? And it wouldn't be like a mile and it would say minimum 40, right? But we both were seeing maximum. We both did it the whole way through. So we get almost to the end of Tennessee and there was a fatal accident. Had that not have happened due to where we were backed up in traffic and the length of time the traffic had been backed up, that would have been us. I believe everything in me, because I was sitting there, I'm a Capricorn, so I'm like sitting there calculating everything in my head, like, okay, so and investigating, like when did this actually happen? All this stuff. Yeah.
But that's why I said that, if you're late or you're behind a slow truck or whatever, like, come on. There's a purpose for it.
Yeah.
Just suck it up, relaxing. Okay, whatever. And I'm trying to teach it to my daughters, but they have no patience. I have a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. And so the thought of patience is gone out the window. But if you understand, I said, if you're going to be late, just be late, don't worry about it. Go get some eggs or bacon, or just go to get Dunkin', another one, because they're going to yell at you either way. Right. So you rushed for no reason, got into an accident, and now your day is like compounded worse than it was when you could have just like said, F it, double calf, mocha, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if I'm going to be late, I'm going out in style. And that's the same thing as like, they always tell you, like, if you leave your house, you're like, damn it, I forgot that book. Go back to your house, get the book, wait 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, wait 5 minutes. That's their way of saying, don't just go back out. 5 to 15 minutes, wait, and then go out. Same principle.
Wow.
Yeah. They tell you different things. I don't know, only one person I met told me that I have a short English spirit guide or guardian angel. And I'm like, oh, brother good, with blonde hair. and didn't give me the name. That's what she said. And I always ask the same questions to hi Helena. I check out. I literally test people who are psychic.
Uh-huh.
So and tarot card readers, whatever. I just listen, I watch because I know how the games are played. But you have to really, in order to woo me or wow me, you have to tell me something you shouldn't know. And
Yeah.
when you don't, and I know that you're, because I also can sense it, I'll get up and I'll tell people, she wasn't that good. I wouldn't waste my money, or he wasn't that good, whatever. So I'm always testing of what's going on there.
That's good.
Um,
It's smart.
right. And I forgot where I was going with that because we were talking about the other things, but it's, I always ask the same questions. I say, what are the lottery numbers to a psychic? And then I ask them, who are my spirit guides and why do they drink? And that usually gets people laughing, like, what'd you just say? Like,
Oh my goodness.
because I will tell you, my guardian angels and spirit guides, they drink. although Cindy has told me that my dad is one of my guardian angels, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm in trouble.
Oh wow.
And actually I can see him laughing because he knows, like, he's a good guy. He worked, but I was hoping for somebody different. Love you, Dad, but you know, too much of the rule follower. Sometimes you have to step over out of the sandbox and do things. So, Helena Handbasket,
Yeah, Helena
1111.
Handbasket. I love that name. She's so
Hi.
sweet. But
You have some great people with great names in the chat.
I know, right? They're so
Yeah.
creative. I just love the people that
What,
come
Jack
on the
Mack?
channel. Yeah, Jack Mack. Jack Mack is phenomenal too. I'm telling you what, Jack Mack, when it comes to paranormal, Jack Mack is here. If he can make it, he is here. He's on
That's
the way.
awesome. I mean, Adventures Unseen. I mean, I love this stuff.
Yes.
And
And Adventures Unseen is Marsha. Marsha and I are actually getting ready to start. Well, we've already started it. I just have to edit it. I'm still learning to stop saying and
don't worry about it.
I'm editing like
Be yourself. Well, this is the problem with our psychic for the group. I've been trying to, and she pisses me off because I don't always believe everything she says, and I have a different opinion. So I have to go through it. She's like, "Yo, was fighting with me over." I'm like, "No, it's just I hear what you're saying and I keep it, but I have to have certain experiences to validate what you're saying because some of it's like, no, I already believe this, and a lot of times it goes back to what she was saying. It's like a 50-50 thing. So, but
that is true. I'm the same way because it's like and I value people's opinions. Please, no one get me wrong. Okay. I do value people's opinions, but when someone tells me something that's important for my path, I have to go to spirit myself because I live life divinely guided. I go straight to God, the divine, and I get my information. And I'm constantly getting downloaded of what I'm supposed to do next. And it's always like helping me cheat out of a situation before something goes down so bad that
So I mean, I don't technically ask, but I'll give you an example. I follow a couple of tarot card readers on Instagram, and they're also on TikTok or whatever it is. And I've listened to some people, and some people are just full of it. And I know that there's about one or two people that are actually legit that all these other people subscribe to, and it's always the same thing. They'll say it's an orange day, folks, and like whatever. And then you get to another person's channel who's full of it and go, I'm seeing the color orange. I'm like, of course you are.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I came across 3 people that are really good at what they do. Nice. And actually there's another one that's good. She's talented. And so I solicit them because I do my show. I have a show every Wednesday called Third Eye Live. It's on from 8
So it's
p.m.
every
to 10
Tuesday.
p.m. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Um, and it's done off of my YouTube channel. So I'll just put it into your chat.
Okay.
YouTube,
Oh, nice.
TUBE.com.
Thank you.
And then I go / Bryan with a Y, BOWDEN.
So
If
I
you, yeah,
subscribed to that. So that should come up now. 'Cause I
I'm
didn't.
hoping it does come up. It depends on, notifications because some people aren't getting the link, but I'll always try to post to Facebook and some other places about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get these people on my show. So I contact them through the messages. No. Then they have like these links. So I contact them through emails. No. So I said, oh shit. So I booked myself 30-minute session and I don't normally do it.
Uh-huh.
If I go to a country fair and there's always a tarot card reader or two, it's usually
Uh-huh.
like a $20 investment. I'm like, okay, go ahead, tell me something,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so um, the last three, none of them know each other, and they all said the same thing about me. They said you have been protected by your elders and also a higher powers. You have a protection from Michael. Thank you, Lord. Archangel Michael. I appreciate you. I
Right.
love you. And they said the same thing. Bryan, you fill everybody's cup but your own, and you need to
Oh.
change that. And I have, but I've changed it. But the problem is when you do stuff like that, and some people will know it. And thank you very much, Crypto, and everybody that subscribed. What happens is, once you change and you make a change to not do that all the time, because I'm always very giving. Don't ask for anything in return. Just
Mhm.
common sense and respect would be nice, you
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
But most people don't have any of that, and their mamas didn't beat them enough when they were little, or that they didn't go to the woodshed too
Yeah.
much. Um, then they say, well, "What happened to you? You changed." Like, no, I didn't change. You can't take advantage of me anymore.
Oh my gosh! It's like we're the same person. What the heck? What the
So,
heck?
yeah,
Oh my god! When I started standing up for myself after all
yep,
these years, oh
that's what
my
you're supposed to
god!
do.
It is like, well, what happened to you? It's like, well, you can't be mean to me anymore. You're not allowed to be mean to me.
Right?
I can't
I don't want to deal
control
with it
that.
anymore. Right? You have every right to.
Then I'm a horrible person. I'm
No,
not
you're not.
yelling. I'm not, I'm not yelling. I'm not, but I'm standing up for myself. There's a difference in yelling and saying, you are not allowed to talk to me that way ever again.
Right?
I have found my worth. And that is abuse. And abusive behavior I no longer allow in my life. Flipped out.
Yep.
Flipped out. Like I'm the horrible person.
You're not.
No,
But
I'm not.
and that's what people have to do, and some people just don't understand it, and they don't. You've changed. Like, no, I haven't changed. I just stopped letting people take and take and take and take and take and take.
I grew up. I grew up.
It's not even growing up. It's just there's right and wrong, and you'll always see that. Like what I've heard this quite often from people because I wasn't. I used to do stupid things as a kid and a teen and whatever, and I had a couple of points where I said to myself, Bryan, you can either go down this path and it's going to get worse. There's going to be problems, or you can change. So I changed, and I had people say, "Oh, you're a nice guy," which I don't like that term, and I now correct people. I'm a good man. I can be nice, but I can be the devil incarnate if you really want, because I'm a Cancer, and I don't
Ever met a
forget.
Capricorn?
Yeah, well, it's really funny because the other half's an Aquarius, and they're either a gentle brook or a freaking tsunami. And then the older one's a Scorpio, a true Scorpio,
Yes.
like my grandma. Boom. And my younger one, she's a Sagittarius, and she lives for her sister. And but the older one was upset with us because we didn't name her. We just discussed this tonight. When she knew that her baby sister was coming, she said her name is going to be Pocahontas Rapunzel. Well, it didn't work out well for her, and she wouldn't talk to her for forever. But my oldest was the only one, 4 years older, could get my youngest to give a real belly laugh, and my youngest loved, So what would happen is, this is so great. My oldest would lie down when they're kid, they lie down on the couch this way, like flat. They're on their side and watch TV this way, whatever movie it was. And the young one come over, like, try to, like, come on. And she's like, no, not now. I'm doing something, not now. The older one, the younger one would be like, okay, I got you now. Hold on. Take her Sagittarius arrow back and go, wah. And she'd come up and go, pop. And then the older one's like, bah, 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 and just chase him around. And you see my younger one with a smile on her face. Yeah. So I don't, I can be a nice person. I generally have a ton of love in my life and in my heart. Yeah. And I always get criticized from some people, like, why are you writing those songs? Like, my youngest, like, I know you're writing those songs for mom. I'm like, they're not for mom. Those are songs. It's just, I've always written poetry. I'm a romance kind of guy. And that's how I've written it. And, if you look at what I've done.
I gotta stop you there. You all listen. Anyone that likes to listen to music. Now, Brian is like I am. For those of you that are new, I can sing country. I can sing pop. Okay. I can sing just about any genre except screamo. I'm not a screamo.
I don't do the scream stuff.
I don't do screamo, but I can sing about anything. He does the same thing, and his voice. Oh my gosh, you've got to check him out. He's on SoundCloud. I have this on here.
Yeah,
You see, I had planned on asking a lot of questions, but we're having so much fun. It's like, and we're talking about stuff that
I'll come back if you'd like me to come back. I can come back. And then you can, keep the questions like here, bookmark it, and I'll come back, like, whatever. And then we'll go into, now that the introduction's done and the party is, like, whatever. Yes. It's always been a pleasure to be here. Yes. I can come back and talk about all the Bigfoot stuff and all the other stuff, because I should be back in Florida in a couple of weeks. Okay, and awesome. With the exception of going and putting my daughter in college. Oh my God. That's
SoundCloud. We got to talk about real quick, and then back to your daughter, because I will lose focus.
Sure, no problem.
Because guys, you've got to hear his voice, his music. He writes this music.
This is all my music. I sing it into a unit, and sometimes when I'm tired, my voice gets a little bit husky, so I can't get the range. And then I started playing around with the DAW, throwing in drum beats. And then they had this, like, virtual thing where I can take my voice, and the computer will put it to some other voices. Like, there's a female. You'll hear that it's, and they convert it. So it's like, oh wow, that sounds pretty good. So not all of it's mine, but I'm coming out with some other stuff. You will hear more of my voice.
And you wrote it.
I wrote every bit of it.
He writes it, and there's one song which is, what was it? You. He actually says, "Past lives."
Yep.
I said, "Oh,
it's always been you."
I played him.
I gave you.
I found it. Go to his link tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to his link tree. You see, I watched his show. Well, I couldn't find. Couldn't find the second one. I saw it listed, but whenever I would go into it, it was like it was no longer there on whatever channel. But with Ben Hansen, I found it and watched it, and I got that was awesome about the origin. So
if you go to my channel, which is right there, Sir Brian Bowden, and one of my playlists is Third Eye Live, but you also, if you slide through them, there's Bryan M. Bowden music. and I put my I put all my I create my own videos with it, and
nice.
so I do it that way. So
So creative.
right, I do a lot of this stuff, but this is the U video right there, and it comes out.
Oh,
Yeah,
listen. If y'all
I
like,
literally,
if
yeah,
you don't listen, I'm telling you what's the truth. Like as soon as I started playing it, my heart melted. Song
yeah.
after
Well,
song, and I played it over and over and over, and it was just like,
it was written with someone in mind, but it's also not written. It's written for. It's really weird because it's like it came to me when I was coming back last summer from the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and I'm singing it in the car. And what I do is I start singing it, and and then what I do is I put it in audio form, so I get the idea, and then it just started writing itself, and I pulled over to the side of the road. I will fight for you. I'll defend you. I'll give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you, nothing else. I love you. I love you. And it's kind of like what you would do for a love of your life. But it's also, I have 2 daughters, and I would do anything for them. I will
yes,
fight for you. I'll defend you. Give up my life for you. So that's what
yes,
it is. But
it.
sometimes, you know, I grew up with Southern rock for the most part. So I'm a blues, Southern rock guy, New Age guy. I was in a heavy metal band. I was in a New Age band. I was in a band with a friend of mine. We did an open mic, and he's a really small guy, long blonde hair, and he dressed all in white. Great guitar player, Andy P. Gilbert.
Nice.
And I dressed with khakis and a blue polo and a captain's hat. And we went to an open mic as Jesus and the Skipper. So I'd go, "Hey, little buddy, what do you want to play now?" And we just do like acoustic Detroit Rock City. Boo doo 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 doo. So he wasn't. Andy wouldn't sing, but I would sing, and I sing, quite often. Love singing. So I've been on this. I remember doing when I was in high school, and I was in a couple bands. I was writing some of these songs, and when there's a song, "When I Look Into Your Eyes, I See Heaven," whatever. And I have a bunch of them. And this band was more like a new agey type of thing. And we would play, and I would get nervous, so I'd drink a fifth of tequila, through the time I was there. So I wouldn't, be in, not drunk, but I don't have to worry about them. And then one night I didn't have anything. I got on stage and started playing, and we play like 50% my songs, 50% his songs. Every time we played one of his songs, people would get up, go get a drink, talk and whatever, or go to the bathroom. And then I would get up there, and the whole audience would sing that song back to me. They knew the lyrics. I floated on air coming home that night, and I'm like, I don't need any drugs. I just got it. This was amazing. So yeah, I do sing, and you can listen to it. I'm not, I'm playing it. I have my guitar, and I play all the time. I noodle, but I don't do lead. I'm kind of learning some stuff from a friend of mine, but it's always hard to get a drummer to come in. And some of these programs now with a digital audio workstation, you can just lay down the guitar, then you lay down vocals. It's always been you, whatever it is. And then I can take the guitar portion, drag it into a bass portion, and play around with some of the notes, and just, make my own bass line from my guitar line. And then I can add in a drummer and keyboardist, and not for music, crypto. I've had not necessarily. Well, I had a couple of times. I had 2 times of missing time. Once was an investigation with Al, who was in here up in upstate New York, and we had a Bigfoot encounter, and then we saw a UFO, and we had missing time from that point, and then we had a time space rip, which was excuse me, fun.
You okay?
And yeah, no, I'm trying to keep my mouse. I'm using banana candies from It's Sugar. So,
There you go.
and sometimes it goes the wrong pipe. So, and then there was another time we were driving. I got to say this quietly. We were driving from New York to Florida. We're staying in Florence, South Carolina. But by North Carolina, they shut down Route 95. So they put me on Route 301, which is a country road, rural road.
Okay.
So I wanted a cigarette at that point. Everybody's sleeping. Wife, 2 kids. Excuse me again. Sorry for coughing on everybody.
It's okay.
So I slid the car. I slid. No one's there. It's 11:45. I'm an hour away. I should be at the hotel 1:45, more than enough time. And then we get some sleep and get up and we go. So I noticed something in the sky that was changing red, orange, green, blue, purple, violet, whatever. So I pull off to the side of the road, shut the light off on the inside, close the door quietly. I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm watching this, and then it's changing and vibrating and different colors. I'm getting a high pitched sound. And at one point it bursts, and I'm like, well, I know I'm near Fort Bragg. So I'm like, maybe that's could be a drone from them. It didn't feel like that. So I wanted I had a night vision scope that I have, inexpensive, so I can film at night in low light. It would have been perfect. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I'm in my car and I'm waking up and I'm like, how did I get in the car? I don't remember getting in the car. And I tapped on my phone for the directions. I was using Waze. And Waze said, do you want to resume? You want to resume your trip? I said, yeah, no problem. And I said, yes. And then it tells you'll be at your destination at 4 a.m. And I'm like, what the is going on here? So I'm like, I kind of woke up with a headache and I'm like, did I fall asleep? I don't think no, that's not me. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. So we finally get to the hotel and it's 4 a.m. and everybody wakes up. And one of my kids, my oldest, is like, she doesn't get sick. She's like perfect health all the time, strong, whatever. Everybody's complaining about their neck hurts, their head hurts. And I was like, what time is it? Like, it's 4 a.m. It's like, how come it took so long? I said, well, they shut down the highway. I couldn't say, oh, by the way, we got abducted by aliens.
Right.
So the next day when we wake up, my youngest, who stays in bed, we 2 queen beds in the room. She goes, Daddy, can you help me with my shirt? So she took off her pajama top, and I noticed there was a blood stain on the sheet by where she would lay down. And I'm looking at her back, and she has an indentation. It looks like she was resting on a BB, a scoop mark. So she goes, what's wrong? I said, nothing. I thought you had a mosquito bite. Uh-huh. So she gets dressed. We go, and we get down to Florida. We're looking at houses to buy or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And one of our friends lived in the community we eventually bought in. And we were going to see them before going back up to New York. And I get the ringing in my ear. And anytime I get ringing now, I just look up. And there's the craft, red, orange, green, blue, purple, violet, like vibrating, and boom.
Nice.
And I said, you can take me and their mother, but don't touch my kids, because I don't want them touching my children. That's not going to stop them, by the way. It's just idle threats. Right. So we leave that house. We go back up to New York. We drive in 2 days, whatever it is. And then the weekend that was coming up, we meet one of my wife's friends for lunch. We hadn't seen them for a while. So we're sitting outside of the restaurant. I go in, pay the bill, come back out, and my wife's sitting there with my oldest, the tissue like this. I'm like, what's going on? Because she has a nosebleed. Like, this kid's built like, an ox. And I'm like, really? And then she said, this came out of her nose, and I'm just going to do it with this because this would work perfectly. So she pulls something out of her nostril that looks like this, but it's spongy. It's really thin. It's really, really thin. Mm-hmm. And because it was during COVID, I had those green sandwich bags, Ziplocs. Mm-hmm. I always kept extras because you run out of gloves. You could use the bag in reverse, zip it up, throw it out. You can open up door handles. Right? So I'm carrying it. I'm going to bring one out. So green Ziploc storage bag. So when I would do it, use it for like a glove or something, and turn it inside out, use it to grab. And then when I did this to close it up, I'd zip it up and then throw it in the garbage. But in this case, I said, I'll take that, zipped it up, got the air out, put it in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I know people down at some of the college universities that work in the medical and DNA areas. And I said, I'm going to get this thing scanned. I got the evidence. But every moment I tried to put it away in the fridge, I was always called away. It was almost as if someone was paying attention and said, no, we don't want you to do that. So within a few hours, if you don't put it on ice, you're going to lose the DNA aspect of it. So basically I left it out. It dried up instantaneously, became like a powder, and I lost it. But that came out of my daughter's nose, my older daughter's nose.
Brian,
yeah.
I have to tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
You just triggered something from my childhood. And I promise you, under all the divine, I'm telling the truth. And you can ask. When I was little, I never thought about this, Brian. I thought my extraterrestrial contact just started since I had the NDE. But what you said, Brian, I used to pull out, it wasn't string. It was like a cord, but it was like that long. I would pull it out of my nose, and I thought it was just mucus, but it was always perfectly round. And I always wondered, how did it do that?
Yeah. If you went under,
what?
If you got like X-rays or whatever, you'd probably have, that you'd probably been tagged and bagged.
I've been tagged. My ex-husband, like, he literally saw the marks. I would have, it would either be like there would always be 3 dots. So it's like either in the shape of a triangle or diagonal or straight line. But he measured them every time. It was like, it looked like I don't know if you'd say radiation burns, but they didn't hurt though. And they would disappear within a week. But they were always, he measured them, and because he would say, because you could tell, I mean, it was like from one dot to the next, it was exactly the same, same
distance. Yeah, equilateral triangle. Yeah.
It happened every time. And I would tell him, I would say, because see, I traveled a lot. That's how I travel, is consciousness, right? Within consciousness.
Me too.
But something was happening, because how do you travel within consciousness and you get this? How do we get the physical? How does that happen?
Because you're not. What happens outside in the conscious realm can also affect you physically. There's ways of doing it. It's kind of complex. Way too long to try to explain, but you can get hurt. It's kind of like, the old saying, if you die in your sleep, you die in real life.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. You're very susceptible to certain injuries when you travel outside with your consciousness, like when you remote view or you astral project or whatever. You're getting into a realm where there are other entities that operate out of that are far more sophisticated than you and powerful than you, but do have a reverence for you because you're able to do it. So they know that you're on the cusp of certain things. Also, humans are on the cusp of being really, really powerful if we start vibrating at a higher frequency and we use more of our brain. But that's we'll get back to that another time. Yeah. But yeah, you have the mark. I'm sure you've been abducted. Your parents have been abducted, 1 or 2 of them. Your kids were abducted. Their children will be abducted. And their dad, even though he's not a believer, he's had experiences. But here's the difference. Like, if they know that you are psychologically capable of understanding and getting it,
Mm-hmm.
over time, they let you remember more. So you come back. So when Cryptid said you get a download, I've been downloaded before, but I couldn't tell you what the information was. Now, some of that could be some of the quick bursts that come into my view, like there's going to be this, or when I do certain work, like I do coming in August, I do a remote view for 0 to 18 months, but sometimes it takes me elsewhere. It takes me longer. I write it down. And sometimes that information will be put into the sequence and it'll think you're remote viewing it, but you're actually just unlocking the download at that point. They'll tell you something of a future event. But I haven't met, if I have children, I haven't met them, which I kind of would like, at least their social security number so I can claim them on my taxes. You know, but it would be kind of interesting. It may be a little bit freaky to be like, whoa, what? Okay. And like, how do you hold them? It may be weird. Maybe I'm reptilian. Maybe I'm an insectoid. Maybe I'm something else, whatever it is. I don't know. But I know it happens quite often. I remember going, like, since I moved to Florida, we have a 2-story house, but like our bedroom's on the first floor. And I stay up late. I just can't. My brain works in weird ways, and I go on different shows or whatever. And I have these 3 windows, and I know I'm waiting. I'm like, I know he's there, and I'm waiting for him to pop his head up. But I know there's a gray there, and I keep waiting for it, and he doesn't come up. But one night, I woke up, and I had a tremendous pain in my rear area. We'll just say it that way. And it's like, did I just have a proctological exam, or did my wife shove something up my, whatever? I'm like, I was in actual agony, and I was unnerved. No. I'm just saying, like, whatever. But I also felt prior to that, I said, I'm waiting. They're coming. I know something was going to happen. So this is about 3 o'clock in the morning. I get up and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable lying down. So I go sit, and this was great. So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like falling asleep a little bit. And then I kind of open my eyes. And the next thing I know, my youngest is right here. I'm like, oh Jesus. I'm like, what? Are you okay? I'm like, do you have a bad dream? And I'm like, oh my God. So she came down the stairs and she said, no, can I stay with you? And I said, yeah, you all right? He goes, yeah, I saw the extraterrestrials out the window, and I took my beads and I was whipping at them because I didn't want them to take me or anything. So she correlated and she validated what I was feeling, and I never said anything to her about it. And so both of us were on the sofa for the rest of the night, and I'm pretty sure I probably was taken in the middle of the night. And she was probably taken, and and so she was, defending herself, and she wanted her dad. So I'm like, I was not thrilled about that. Like, the feeling was like it's an uncomfortable feeling. It's the best way to describe it.
It is. Now mine aren't per se. Now I'm not scared of the extra because mine are always what they let me remember.
Yes.
Always very pleasant and beautiful.
Right.
But what I've always had trouble with until the NDE, they started actually helping me to start releasing fear. I've always since age 3 been dealing with demons, like real demons and very negative entities. Now some of them, yes, it had to do with my parents' belief system and everyone I was around, all that scaring me. But a lot of them were, looking back today, were demonic or very, very negative entities. That's what tormented me. Now, this runs in my family. My dad and my mom both had different abilities. Well, so my dad, at night, he had to have lights on. Me, I literally actually married a person because I was so scared.
Yeah, my oldest daughter had to have lights on for well over a year.
Yeah.
He still needs a light on.
Yeah. Well, I do too. And my son, he's 32, and he'll be 33 soon. And he still has trouble just like I did. It can be tormenting if we don't learn how to release that fear.
Right, or get rid of the fear. And there's certain entities that are on the interdimensional side that come to visit you, like the Hat Man or the Shadow Man.
Yes.
They black-eyed children. They operate that food. Your fear is their energy and their food.
Oh,
Kind of
yeah.
like Monster Inc., right? So the
Yeah.
more you're afraid, the bigger meal they get, like at the
Yeah.
Sizzler.
That's
So
right.
when you're not afraid, they don't come by anymore because they've lost that edge. But
Mhm.
I don't really. The only thing I'm really scared of is another doctor going, "It's a girl." I'm like, "Whoa," that's about it. But
Right.
right, like I don't need another one. I have way too many in my life. But I'm not. I did. There's been times where I'm going to sleep and I know someone's standing right there.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like, and what I do is I don't even open my eyes. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not talking to you. Go away. Take a number, whatever. And there's one other time where I was lying in bed and I did get a feeling like there's something behind you you do not want to see, Brian. And I was
I hate that feeling. Oh my gosh, that feeling.
that's very rare. And I said, you know what? F it. And I've turned around, and the minute I turned around, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So, but I can continue going on, but I have a dog right now that's looking at me that hasn't been out for a long, long time, and I apologize.
This has been great. This has
I
been
appreciate you.
Guys, if anybody that has watched this, especially, now all the way through, we definitely appreciate you guys. I know we went off topic, but guys, think of all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I apologize, but it does set you up for when we get into some of the other stuff because you have to start believing and you have to have a vibrating at a higher frequency.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just make sure to tune in next time. But listen, we
whenever you want.
Listen, Brian, we've got to do this a lot. This is just, it just flowed. It just flowed. It's so natural. It just worked. And I just absolutely love it. And I love all your experiences.
I'll tell you about my Bigfoot stuff and my Dogman stuff and the cryptid stuff whenever, just let's,
Yeah, this was worth it for me. You confirmed so many things just from me personally. I can't imagine other people that see this that go through this too, and they're like, "Oh
it's
my god,
difficult. It's really difficult for people, and I just keep pursuing. And I want to thank you for having me on and reaching out to me. I'm honored. I'm always honored to be on someone's show. I don't look at the size of it. I don't care what it is. You want to talk about this? I get to talk about good stuff for a couple hours, and it's a pleasure. And this is how, as we say, every best friend was once a perfect stranger. So this is how it starts.
Yes. So guys, please make sure to find Brian. It's a Linktree. Let's see. Is it Sir Brian or Brian? Sir Brian.
I don't even. I gotta be honest. I don't remember.
Let's see.
It's probably in my. I think it's Bryan M. Bowden, but I'm not positive.
It's here in the description, or you can and it's in that thing that I say, the intro in the very beginning.
Yep, it's Bryan M. Bowden. I'm not going to tell you exactly what the M is. It's for classified and for select people, but people have, due to something that happened in Florida with a mix of my information and another person's face, people call me McLovin. So I said, you know what, that's what the M stands for now, McLovin, for a bit. But you should, just so before I go, they do a lot of these psychic fairs down in Florida. So you should take a look into it and see if you can get a table or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yes. Well, listen, thank you so much. I gotta let you go. I could talk all night. This is just
no problem. I could do it too, but I'm getting the puppy dog eyes, and I don't want to clean up the accident. But blessings to everybody, and we'll just text me like tomorrow, the next day, like, hey, can you come in like a month or whatever, and I'll come back, and then we'll really get into like your questions because I know you're gonna have a bunch of them.
Oh, you know it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.